Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
You're a child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
Okay, Muslim men, you can't complain. I'm covering up because I have so much to be ashamed of because I was born a woman. I was born without a dick. Oh, the shame of it all. So I must cover up because that pleases Allah. Women need to just cover up and hide their shame because it's shameful for them that they even exist. So they have to cover. They have to cover it up. Men don't. Men can walk around and be proud of who they are and let their heads show and their hair show and their faces show and their necks show and their chest show, ha ha ha, because they are men. They matter in the world. Women, no, not so much. They're just women. They need to be maintained by men. Yes, Allah created them less than men. What I don't understand is why women don't see through this and see it as the men's club it is. It's all it is. It's a men's club. I've been picking on Islam lately for a little snippet of information I got from a bus driver friend. There's a mosque down the street from where I drive. Ugly building, just as a mosque goes. Some of them are more beautiful on the outside than others. This one, no, not so much. And in the front of it, there's this phallic symbol. I mean, it looks like a male appendage. It's got ridges down the side, and it's like, and then a ball at the top, and then on top of that is this dome, black dome. Oh, so attractive, black dome. Yeah, like the unbelievable darkness that this cult is spreading across the world. And then on top of that, a little spike with a little crescent moon. So holy! Sorry, I lost it there, but I'm back. Anyway, what the bus driver friend told me is inside the first floor is this huge ornate room. Beautiful, ornate room for the men to pray. Only the men. Apparently, the two genders can't pray in the same room because apparently, according to one Muslim woman, Allah hears prayers better if the genders are separated. Yeah. Apparently, Allah has a hearing. He's challenged. He has a hearing deficiency. Yeah. He needs special whatever to just so he can hear. Interesting how small and weak this God is. It's kind of, and you praise that and worship it, really? And he can't hear you unless you separate the sexes, and he actually gets upset over what people are wearing. This God who created everything, he's that puny. Anyway, so back to the story. What the bus driver told me was at the top of the building, the second floor, tucked away in a little, whatever, there's this little room for the women to pray. It's like, my beef with this is, okay, why isn't it the other way around? Why don't the women get the big, ornate, beautiful room? Why aren't the men tucked away? Something new that I didn't know until just recently. A Muslim man on Facebook comes on to defend Islam, and he's telling me, well, the reason that the men get the big room has nothing to do with sexism or discrimination. No, the men get the big ornate room because they are required to go to mosque. With women, it's just optional. Is this not a men's club? I'm sorry, that's what it is. Oh, girls, you know, you don't really have to go if you don't want. It's really not that important to God. If you go and praise and worship him, all that really matters to him is that the men are there. Yeah, the men, you know, the important ones, the ones who really matter, the ones who get full rights under the law, the ones who can just divorce you at the drop of a hat without even taking it to court. Those guys, you know, the ones who get full inheritance if your father dies, unlike the daughters. Yeah, those guys. The ones who, if they have a sexual urge, can command their wife to submit. And if she doesn't, if she's not in the mood, if she's in the middle of something else that's maybe really important to her, and she says, no, I'm really not, he can beat her. According to the Quran, he has the right to beat her. Yeah. But women go along with this. Women apparently are so brainwashed and indoctrinated and raised up to think that this is... They go along with it. They actually support this. This cult that puts little girls into marriages with men older than their fathers takes away from them their childhood. This cult who still actually stones people and maims people and beheads people and commands death to people for fill in the blank. I'm sorry, haven't we evolved a little bit beyond the point where we need to kill people for a mistake? Committing a crime is a bad thing. But ultimately, committing a crime is a mistake. A lot of criminals are mentally ill. A lot of criminals are financially destitute and desperate. Mistake is probably too weak of a word for it, but ultimately, it's one action. It's an action that isn't a good action. It's bad judgment. It's bad whatever. Somebody was raised in a bad family. Somebody was taught bad things about women, like all those Muslim men in the UK, like Norway and Sweden and Finland, who think it's okay to rape a woman who isn't a Muslim, to rape a woman who doesn't wear the veil. It's perfectly okay to rape them. They're asking for that. They're asking to be raped. They need to be taught a lesson. Yeah. So we have this huge rape epidemic in the UK by these men who are raised to... Should they be killed? Because they were raised to look at women this way? Because they were raised to have such a horrible opinion of women in general? Oh, women are something men need to maintain. Yeah, like they're sheep. I maintain my herd of sheep. Let's see, I have my cows over here, and my goats over here, my sheep over here, and my women over here, because they can marry more than one, too. A story that I wanted to share. People say, oh, you don't know. You've never met any Muslims. What do you know about anything? Well, here's a story about a Muslims that I did know, because I worked at a restaurant and the owner was a Muslim and his wife was a Muslim, and they were from Iran and they had children. He had all boys from different marriages, and he had one little boy from her, and pretty much she was treated like a princess. She had all kinds of glittery jewelry and beautiful clothes, and he got her a nice car, and she got to pick out where they where they lived, which wasn't where he wanted to live. It was where she wanted to live. So she kind of got to have her way a lot. But funny thing, several times he threatened her with divorce. And because even though she was an American citizen, because she's also a citizen of Iran, if he did divorce her, she would walk away without a penny. She would have nothing. Everything would be taken from her, including her child. So she did, you know, she was a smoker. I think because of the situation she was in, she was kind of, you know, just the upbringing these women have. Really nice woman too. I really liked her. A little bit scatterbrained, but really nice. But she smoked, and he wouldn't allow it. So she smoked in secret. She took money from the till, basically, because I mean it is her money too. It's their business, and she used it to buy cigarettes, and she smoked in secret because he didn't allow it. She's a grown adult. And yet she had to sneak doing something she enjoyed. Anyway, fast forward. The young boy developed kidney failure. And Mom donated a kidney to save his life. Now, of course, in their culture, the male, is so much more important, has so much more value than the lowly mere woman. The fact that she donated one of her vital organs to save her son's life, in my opinion, that should increase her worth as a human being, shouldn't it? Because of her, a man is allowed to continue to mature and grow up. And praise Allah, because only men in church really matter to him. With women, it's just optional. Okay, so you would think that, you know, in the husband's eyes, the woman would be a little bit more, I don't know, have a little more value to him. I don't know what happened exactly. They had a fight. Maybe he found out she was taking money from the till. I don't know. But one day he just wasn't taking her calls anymore. She was trying to communicate and he just wouldn't take her calls. He filed papers to divorce her, which would basically take from her everything, every possession, everything, pretty much, except maybe she would still be allowed to have her clothes. But I mean everything, the house, the car, her son, everything of value, the restaurant, she had no part of that restaurant. She didn't get to have half of whatever. It was his restaurant because he was the man. Even though she worked in that restaurant, it was one of the, you know, when he wasn't there she was working her ass off. She didn't get any part of that restaurant if there's a divorce. So anyway, so he files for divorce. She doesn't get to see her son. She doesn't get to communicate with her son. She doesn't get to communicate with him. He totally shuts her down. So she tries to kill herself. Because I think she already had problems in that respect. I think anybody married in that kind of culture would have problems with self-esteem in general. She tried to kill herself and she almost succeeded. The effort cost her her sight. I don't know if she ever got her sight back, but she almost went completely blind. He felt very badly. He actually is the one that found her because she called him to say goodbye, and he rushed to the house and he found her unconscious and called 911. So he saved her. And then after she was saved, and it was very touch and go in the hospital. I don't know, I'm sorry I keep hitting this cord and making the camera do this, okay? The divorce continues. I mean, he doesn't have a change of heart or anything because he's already moved on to another woman or women. He's trolling at this point. She ends up having to go back to her country because she has no place to live, and she's now on top of it very ill, very impaired because of her depression and because of her attempted suicide. She has to go back to live with her parents in Iran. Probably she will never see her child again. She has lost her child. The one that she saved with her kidney. She has lost him. She's lost she has nothing to show from her marriage except maybe the clothes. Maybe he, again, let her keep her clothes. But there was no 50% goes to you, 50% goes to you, nothing. There's no support from, because she's an Iranian citizen. Even though she's an American citizen, apparently that takes precedence. So that's my experience with actually knowing somebody from the Middle East, an actual Muslim family. Not really impressed. Women, they're just whatever until the man is done with them. And then they're nothing. Then they have to fend for themselves. If she didn't have her mother, she'd probably be begging on the street at this point. So yeah, I do know a little bit of what I'm talking about. And I've heard women say, wow, my husband treats me like a princess. Really? But if there was a divorce, well, would you get 50% of everything? You know? Would you? Would you get to have custody of the child or children that you have? How many conditions do you have to have sex if he wants you to? Do you have to cover up? Is there a choice in the matter? Oh, I hear so many Muslim women say, well, it's my choice to wear this. Really? So what happens if you don't? What if you decide one day you don't want to? And you walk around and other Muslim women see you that way. Other Muslims see you without your cover-up. What would happen? Would you be ridiculed? Would you be chastised for not dressing appropriately? Is there like a whole lot of pressure there for you to wear certain clothes? I don't see it as a choice. In some countries, you can be killed for not dressing correctly. Even in this country, you can be killed for not dressing correctly. Yet you go along with this cult that, oh, well, you don't have to go to church if you don't want to. Probably the men would rather that you stayed home and tended the house. Because women in church, women praying, that's just not so important to this God. It's all about men. Christianity is saying, there's some verse in the Bible that says every year the men should come before me. It doesn't say anything about the women. Why is that? Gee, do you think maybe it's because these cults are man-made by men? Designed to show preferential treatment toward men? Designed to put controls on women so men have the power? We don't want to have any uppity women who question our authority. Let's make up a religion, and have a God that agrees with everything we say. Put women in their place. Hey, you know, it's not my idea. It was God's idea. I'm just the one repeating God's message to you, lady. So shut up, go back in the kitchen and do those dishes. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm just really angry that this cult exists in general, that these cults exist, but especially Islam, and that women have such little self-respect that they would actually go along with this and support this. If women would only have a spine, grow a nut, like my husband used to say, ex-husband used to say, fucking A, grow a nut. Do you not see what this does to women, to girls? This is spreading. And if we continue to let it spread, women are going to be slaves worldwide, not just in the Middle East, which is what they are. I'm sorry. Muslim women are slaves. You are chained by invisible bonds. I'm sorry. Any cult that says that if your man wants sex, you have to say yes is one, man-made, gee, you think, and two, slavery toward half the human race, toward all those little girls that maybe want to go out and play hopscotch on the street, but instead they're being married off to people that could be their grandfathers. Because, you know, if you start early, you get more babies out of a woman, and that's the idea. Let's breed as many Muslims as we can to infest the world and completely obliterate all the other cultures and belief systems that exist. You want a little look at what the future is going to look like? Look at Somalia. Yeah, in Somalia, they've just outlawed Christmas and New Year's because, ooh, you know, these religions, these holidays have nothing to do with Islam. So they outlawed them. So apparently in Somalia, it's against the law to practice any religion except Islam. You want that across the entire world? Well, that's what's coming as long as women continue to go along with this fucking man-made men's club that they oh, but this is all because it's what Allah wants. Yeah. And you believe this? How many brain cells do you have exactly that you actually believe this and you walk around covered up? By the way, my hat, this is really upsetting to me. Look at this hat. I remember when I got this was such a cool hat. I might have to order another one. Either that or it needs to be blocked. I guess you can have them blocked, but my cat Toby likes to sleep on that hat, and that's how I figured out. I came home one day and there he was, and so I figured out why the hat was getting more and more pathetic looking all the time. So anyway, there's nothing, women have nothing to be ashamed of. Women have no reason to cover up. And inventing a god to put shackles on half the human race is evil, and Islam is evil. For that reason and so many other reasons.